noise is turned off for now. Okay, guys. So welcome. Holler in the Q&A if you have any questions, or if you can't hear me for some reason or you can't see the video. That is the best way to tell me, because I wouldn't know necessarily. So let's talk about first impressions in the show ring. So success comes when preparation meets opportunity. All right, I think all background noise is turned off for now. Okay, guys. So welcome. Oh my goodness, don't you just love when things are live? Okay, so I had not muted my YouTube thing that I had open. So now you should just be hearing me. I saw Lene raise her hand, so hopefully that was what she was trying to signal to me. So now you're not hearing an echo of me. So success comes when preparation meets opportunity. Or another way that I like to translate this is, let's do all the free and cheap stuff first before we worry about getting caught up in the expensive stuff. The horse world can be pretty disheartening when you look all around you and you see so many price tags of horses and equipment and clothing and events that can be really, really expensive. But I am here to tell you there are so many free and cheap things that are more important that you begin with. You don't have to worry if you don't have $1,000 jacket. I have never owned $1,000 jacket, and I've had quite a bit of success. So let's work about all this free and cheap stuff. And I also want to kind of start the lecture this way, because I think some people will get a little disheartened on some of the stuff that I talk about. A lot of it is all aesthetics. It's a lot about how we're going to have you look and how we're going to have your horse look. And people will go, well, that's not horsemanship. Well, I would beg to differ. So a lot of this is just an example of how well taken care of your horses, how prepared you are. And if you focus on these little details, it will come through in your overall preparation, your overall look. So although maybe we talk about clothing for a little bit, and that seems like, well, that shouldn't matter to a judge. A lot of times it doesn't. But I'm just going to give you some overarching terms that should set you up for success, even though there is not a box on any judge's score sheet for number of crystals on your outfit, okay? But it does just help you set you up for a good first impression. So what is this cheap stuff? So that's talking about having the showman prepared. That means a shaped hat. This is, I don't care what kind of hat you have, it's $10 to $20 maximum to get your hat cleaned and shaped by a professional. And it will just pay dividends. I have yet to meet a judge that doesn't mention a nice hat as one of their first things they notice. Neat hair, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Appropriate makeup. If you go on YouTube, there are about, I don't know, a billion makeup tutorials. And then if you pare that down, there's hundreds of makeup tutorials for the horse show arena. I'm not going to focus on it too much, but what we don't want to see is somebody wearing like clown makeup or something crazy. Okay. If you think about this as your performance, think about a dancer on stage. They have stage makeup, and it's the same thing. And that is all, it's not that it's going to help them dance better. It just gives the overall appearance of a more finished product. Well-fitted clothes. This is not related to bling. Bling is fun, but just so you know, if you're really focused on that stuff, it is for yourself. Absolutely. Myself and my kiddos and some of my friends, we have a lot of bling on our outfits, but we don't do that for the judges. We do it because we love it and we think it looks really great. So continuing on the cheap stuff for horses, and what cheap stuff we can do there. And no, Sophia Nash asked if we have to wear makeup. No, you absolutely do not have to wear makeup. But if you're going to do it, make sure it's appropriate. But it's pretty much like bling. You don't have to do it. So we're going to make sure we're going to bathe our horse. We're going to clip it appropriately. We're going to make sure that the tack is well fitted and clean. What's some of the other cheap stuff? It's talking about preparing ahead of time, guys. So what does that mean? It means we are not trying hunt or hack at the show for the first time. I have had this happen on more than one occasion while I'm judging a horse show. An exhibitor tries, especially a jumping class. That's one that you really should be prepared for at home. And it doesn't go well in the show ring. And I've had a rider look at me and go, ha, well, I've never practiced it before today. That is not fair to your horse. It's not fair to your fellow exhibitors. It's not fair to the judge. I don't find that funny. Um, I think that you need to prepare at home and present the best preparation of you and your horse at the show as possible. That doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. It just means put in your homework. So, what's some of that homework? Well, first things first, it's very important that you know your class specifications and your rules for wherever you're showing. Here's what the 4-H Horse and Pony Project rule book looks like for Michigan 4-H. We have a free available download for that. I'm going to share a lot of links today, links to videos, links to websites. And I know you can't click on your screen and go to it. So I will make sure in this YouTube video that in the description has all of the links. So they're just one click and go. Okay. So don't worry about taking those notes down right now too much. But I will share a link to that rule book. Additionally, I will share a bunch of videos that are all on the Michigan 4-H Horse Program Facebook page. One of those videos, you can see it's kind of long, it's a 15-minute video, but it is me talking about the most important resource in horse showing, and that is the rule book. I actually judged a horse show this day, and I got home and I did a video, and I highlight a lot of the common areas that I see exhibitors make mistakes. And had they read their rule book, they wouldn't be making those mistakes. So again, let's do the free and cheap stuff first before we worry about the expensive stuff. But that video is too long for us to watch here, but I encourage you to watch that. Understand what the judges are evaluating you on. Okay, so you can't get mad at a judge if you don't really know what they're supposed to be judging you on. And again, I would see a lot of exhibitors would be a lot more successful if they understood what the judge's priorities were. If you guys have joined me on a bunch of these lives, lectures, you've already learned how to judge reining. What else did we learn? I think we went over trail, didn't we? We went over hunter under saddle and hunter pleasure. Can't believe we've been doing this for a month together, guys. But you are already learning so much. Your patterns. So you're going to practice those at home. More and more, I see that horse shows give you the patterns ahead of time. I have mixed feelings about that because back in my day, you got the pattern the morning of, and that's it. But if they are available to you ahead of time, practice those. Now, don't over practice them to the point where your horse anticipates all of it. Where can you get a rule book from your state is a question from Colette. You'd have to reach out to your extension specialist in your state. Not all states have them. They might just refer to breed rules and regulations. So I'm not sure. If you comment in the Q&A your state and your email, I can also try to do a little bit of homework for you and find it. Hope, I'm sorry, which slide did you need? And I will go back to it. Even if it's a little bit from now. Even if at the end, if I have to go back, I will for you, Hope. Okay, so let's talk about that showman being clean, confident, and creased. So I like alliteration, so you'll see I use it often. So what does that mean? We're going to talk about hair first. I'll get on my soapbox a little bit. I'm going to teach you guys all sorts of ways to have your hair looking nice. So Sophia asked an awesome question earlier. Do we have to wear makeup? You don't have to wear makeup, but I'm here to tell you, you do need to have your hair nicely done. Okay. It's very easy to do with a little bit of practice. I have very little hair skills and I'm able to do this. And it really just, the idea is we want to show the judge that we care. So it's like showing up to a job interview looking like a total mess. That's not something you would do, right? Same thing when you're showing horses. Don't show up to that job interview looking like a total mess. We want to look prepared. Okay. This goes for guys too. So for me, I've been showing horses since I was 8 years old. I had a little pony named Misty. And since that time, every haircut I have gotten, it's been several years since I was 8 years old. Every haircut that I've gotten, I've had to keep my horse show hair in mind. Because if you have it too long, it's hard to get in a bun. If it's too short, you can't do it. So those are the things you need to keep in mind. Let's see. Can you have a bun or a braid? We'll talk about that and just as we go here. Okay, so this is what I want your hair to look like if it's long enough to put in a bun. All right. I have a tutorial video we'll get to watch to teach you how to do that. There are some classes where just a braid ponytail would look very, very good and work as well for like trail and stuff. But if you're doing the showmanship or the horsemanship classes where the rider's position is the main focus, I prefer this look, and most judges do as well. It is very clean. There's nothing distracting. There's no flyaways. You're going to have to retouch this throughout the day too. It's not something that you do at the 6 a.m. and don't ever touch it again. Okay. And then there are some differences for English riders. If you're interested in learning about hunter hair, I say go ahead and YouTube hunter hair tutorials. There's a lot of really good ones. And you need to make sure that if you have that this fits with your hat. Okay, so, or your helmet. So make sure that you try that on. I do not like these big distracting things. They don't hold your hair as tight. And for me, they're just not as clean of a look. So I don't like to see those. And I really don't like to see this. I don't want all these flyaways with your hair in a messy bun back here. No, this is the job interview and you want to look prepared. And this gal looks prepared. Does not mean that she's the best rider. But we're talking about first impressions here, guys. Okay, so we're gonna watch this video. It's about 8 minutes long and it is going to teach you how to do a bun. If you want to revisit it, just go to this Michigan 4-H Horse Program Facebook page and there's a ton of tutorials on there. Let me check those questions while we're at it. I've answered most of them. So Colette asked, can I wear a low ponytail if your horse is too short? Sorry, if your hair is too short for a bun? You sure can. You know what I've done, Colette? Because I did have hair of similar length. It was just long enough to get in a ponytail. I then had a fake bun that I could get from the hair supply store. And so I had my hair in a tiny ponytail and then I put a bun over it. It worked really good. It was very easy too. All right, let's watch this video together, guys. Sure we can see it.
The perfect horse show hair, namely the bun. So it's really important. It really cleans up your whole look if you have knee and contained hair. In your horsemanship and showmanship classes, your hair, and in your English classes too, has to be off of your neck and contained. So in horsemanship and showmanship, we don't want ponytails flopping around. They're okay for Western pleasure, trail, Western riding. In our horsemanship, we don't want to give any eluding factors that we're bouncing or moving around more than we are. So to start, we just need a few basic supplies. We have a ponytail band. We have a comb. I have a water spray bottle, but hairspray is necessary too. You need a hairnet. You want a nice, fine, thin hairnet. You do not want a heavy, thick, knitted crochet bun sack or anything like that, anything with a big bow on it. They may be quick and easy to snap in and throw your hair in, but they don't create a nice, neat effect. So we use just a thin, it's like $1.99 for 3 of them at Walgreens, Rite Aid, any of those places. Just so you know, you want to pick a hairnet close to the color of your hair. We are using something the opposite. We're using a black hairnet.
I'll show them a finished. So this is a blonde hairnet on blonde hair. So that's going to give you a much sleeker appearance, but we wanted you to be able to see it, so we chose a black hairnet on another blonde.
Yes, and I'm also using a pink rubber band just so you guys can see it too, but normally you'd want a minimum black, but maybe brown or blonde.
But you shouldn't end up seeing the rubber band in the end.
Correct. All right, so start by having a nice, tight, smooth, finished ponytail. If you don't start from the beginning with a good ponytail, you're not going to end up with a neat bun. So we want to really...
And that is the part that is most overlooked, I think.
Yeah.
The ponytail is the key to a good bun.
Some people, and we can show you Caroline's hair,
come up here, let me show you
part of their hair. If you have a lot of hair, you may need to
turn around.
That.
Show your hair. So she has really thick hair, but also lots of flyaways. So we pull it half up, and that helps limit the flyaways. But you do need to tidy up the flyaways throughout a long horse of show day. It's not something that you do in the morning and then expect it to stay perfect all day.
Right. So now Haley, she's got a lot thinner hair. She doesn't have as many flyaways. So we usually just go with the ponytail for her. She doesn't need part of it put up, but
She has nice smooth hair, you can see here. If she had lots of little short pieces, then one pony might not work for her.
okay. So you want this nice, tight, neat. She's crying because it hurts so bad. So that's
No,
a good
she's
sign.
not.
All right. Sorry. Okay. I usually just like to spray my ponytail a little bit, whether it's with hairspray or water. Grab a couple bobby pins, and I'll show you one of my tricks for bobby pins. So what I like to do is take my bobby pin and give it a little bend in the middle like that. It makes it more secure, and it will hold better. So
Learning over here. Cool.
so it's a good little trick to have. Just
And it bends with your head that way.
correct. So just a nice little bend. I also try if I can. It's harder nowadays to find the bobby pins without the big heads on them. They're all kind of bent out. I don't know why they decided to start doing that, but all right. So before we use the hairnet's going to contain and hold the bun, but the bun has to be neat to begin with. So don't think your hairnet's going to save it. Have it nice and neat and contained first, and then put the hairnet on to finish. So we're going to start just by twisting the ponytail and wrapping it around. And I get one good start. So there's the start of our bun. And then I put a pin in it to hold it. Okay? And we finish. And this is going to go around. And some of you may have hair that goes around once or twice.
And I'll admit here, Heather and I are not hair superstars. We are not those girls that can do all sorts of cool stuff with their
I
own
just
hair.
curled my hair for the first time in like 8 years.
So this is not a very difficult skill to learn. If we can do this, you can do this,
Okay.
guys.
So now her hair's ready for the hairnet. So you can see it where it's holding itself together. There's like our little springies here, but
That's
that's
right,
what the hairnet's going to take care of for us. So, but we want it to be in place and holding before we put the hairnet on, so we know it's secure. Then we take our hairnet that doesn't match, remember, just this time, and you start like that. Put it up tight, wrap it around.
And so what she did, she just twisted it around.
Yep, get up here, twist it around. You can do that a few times, and see how it gets neat and contained.
This is what makes your bun last throughout the day.
And if you get, with like Haley has a really small bun and we have a big hairnet and you get a little extra and you don't want it piled to pile, you just take the extra, just wrap it around the inside here. Now, you have the option, you can add a couple more pins just to secure the hairnet. And sometimes I'll just take out like a pin. Here's a pin in here already. And then I'll replace it. So I just kind of grab the hairnet with the pin. Once you get really close on this one. So we just make sure we kind of grab the hairnet with the pin, shove it in there, and if there's a little resistance to pushing it in, you know you're probably hitting the ponytail band, and that's a good thing, because that will be a little bit more secure too. So really, once I got the hairnet in, it only took like 1 or 2 adjustments to the pins, and we were good.
And one thing Heather was doing when she was putting those pins in is she was pushing the bun against Haley's head. That will help secure it. So you can, if you just let it poke out and you're not pushing it against when you place that pin, it won't hold it as secure, and you might even get a bun that's kind of misshapen.
Now we ended up with a little bit of loose hair right here, and honestly, it's
Okay, guys, hopefully that was useful. If you want to watch it again or you want to share it, you are welcomed to do that. And here's the link, but again, I'll put it in the description of the YouTube video, or you can just go to Michigan 4-H Horse Program and search for the horse show hair. We'll peek at those questions. So we had a couple questions. I just want to make sure that I get to them. I think some of them I've answered. If you have layers and the front pieces fall out of the bun, I would probably clip those back. Or like Caroline had in that video, I would pull the hair half back if you can. But that is, lots of people have bangs and have to hold them back. So Colette, you use a hair donut. That can work. For me, it makes the buns too big, but that's probably because I have pretty thick hair. So if you don't have thick hair, that can actually work really good. You guys can search hair donut if you've never seen it. And I've actually used a sock to do the same thing, and it's free. So Robin asked, can you braid your hair and put it in the bun? You absolutely can. It's not my preferred look. I just think it's not as smooth, but you can definitely do that. Will you get marked down if you don't have a neat bun? You know, that's a great question, and it depends is the answer. How messy do you look, and how neat are the rest of the exhibitors? But if you don't look, again, I'm going to just keep referring to it as a job interview. And if two people interviewed the same and one was put together with clean clothes that fit them and looked like that they really put a lot of effort in their look that morning, I'm going to go with the person that appears to have put more effort in their look. So let's talk about clothing here. First of all, the number one rule is fit. It should fit you and it should be complementary to your body style. Okay. So this adorable little lavender outfit here is way too small for this kiddo. And so it's just an example that I found on the internet there. Doesn't mean that that kiddo couldn't do a great job, but the outfit is ill-fitting. Down here, we have a nicely fitting outfit. We don't want anything too distracting. You'd like your boots and you'd like everything to coordinate, however that looks. I don't want to have a red outfit with black boots, for example. Just nothing, again, drawing attention to the wrong thing. We want to the greatest amount of attention to be to our fantastic performance, right? So keep that in mind. As far as like what colors are appropriate, guys, I want you to wear what you feel great in. And that is so important, especially in a class like showmanship. I've discovered over the years, doesn't matter if it's $1 million outfit or everybody else loves it. If you don't feel great in it, it doesn't matter. So you do need to feel great and comfortable and able to move and those sorts of things. One thing I find interesting, a lot of the really fancy jackets that you'll see these days at like big horse shows, they are so stinking heavy because they have so many crystals and jewels on them. I do not know how people would trot in showmanship with those on. One of my absolute favorite looks in showmanship is a suit. So if you're a guy and you're lucky and you get to wear a suit, it's got to be a nicely tailored suit. You don't want it too small. You don't want the pants too short. You don't want things too baggy. And females can absolutely wear suits if they'd like. You can have fun colors or you can just wear black, whatever you want. But a suit is a really great look. If you're looking to save money and budget, another great option, if you have this option, you have to review your rules, but you can just dress in hunter attire for showmanship. So it's the same outfit that you'd use in English. You just can show in a plain leather halter and show in showmanship. So again, know your association's rules for that. But like if you're showing 4-H in Michigan, you absolutely can show in hunter attire and showmanship. And that's one less outfit that you have to have, which is great. Let's see, we want our body language to also exude confidence. So that's with square shoulders that are lifted and not hunched over. You want to be looking where you're going. You want to make eye contact with the judge. Right here, guys, look at the judge. In showmanship, you are showing either to the ring steward or the judge, but whomever you're showing to, you should be having eye contact with. Can you imagine going to a job interview and never looking the person in the eye that is interviewing you? You would never do that, right? So it is a rare find for me to have an exhibitor that will actually make eye contact with me as a judge. So those that do get big bonus points for me. And that's free, right? Eye contact is free. So I actually found these pictures years ago, but they both have very nicely shaped hats on. So if you guys don't know who these are, Google Prince Harry. Wait, no, he's not Prince Harry. He's Prince William. Oh my goodness. You can Google Prince Harry too, though. But Prince William and his wife, Kate Middleton, they were doing something at, I think, the Calgary Stampede, and they have very nice, clean shaped hats. Additionally, you should store your hat in a hat can or the box that it came in if it is a box that can keep it nice in the and safe from being trampled on or getting dusty. These are my favorite though, because they can really keep the hat safe. However, if you store a hat in here in a really hot, humid horse trailer, you can open up your hat can and all of a sudden see that the crease has totally left it because that humidity basically unshaped your hat. So do pay attention to that. Additionally, a small dry cleaning bill can go a very long way. Some of my absolute favorite showmanship outfits were jeans, button-up shirts, and a nice fitting blazer. But those jeans were not the jeans that you wear around the barn. They were showmanship jeans that were kept nice just to show in. They were dry cleaned and starched, those sorts of things. Again, and this is that outfit essentially here, both male and female, this outfit can look fantastic on. So I like dark jeans rather than light jeans. And we'll have an example of some other jeans that do and do not work. But this outfit can look super sharp. I do not like bling butt jeans in the show arena. You can wear them outside of it, and that's way fun. Couple different reasons. It's distracting. Also, if you're going to ride in this, I have had my saddle scratched up by somebody riding in it in bling butt jeans. So I don't prefer those in the show arena at all, unless maybe, even if you're doing gymkhana though, you don't want to scratch up your saddle. I also do not like the bling belts for the same reason, distraction. Okay. Those are for fun. They're for fashion. They're not necessarily for the job interview of showing. But here's just a couple female blazers that can look super duper sharp. So I'm going to check the Q&A. We've got a couple questions here. And I will go over, so we have a bunch of questions that aren't necessarily specific to what we're talking about right now. So I'll make sure to go over those at the end. Let's see. So I can wear jeans and cover my boots with them? Absolutely. So you got to make sure that your boots, or that your jeans flare out enough to go over your boots. But yeah, absolutely, you can wear jeans. So Jasmine says that she is black and so her hair can be really frizzy. What can she put on it to make it lay down? Jasmine, I wish I knew products a little bit better, but there are absolutely some like hair waxes and gels that can help it lay down. And I would probably put it right by my ears, like right before you show, because there's only a little bit of hair that is going to show once you have a hat on. And then you're going to have the hairnet over your bun. So that will take care of that for you. So can you wear jeans and a flannel? I prefer a blazer. So for showmanship, if that's what we're talking about, you can wear a button-up shirt when you're riding. That can work really good. And I'll go over any of these questions at the end. Semi-bling jeans for halter. Can you? So none of these are written in stone, guys. You're getting a lot of my opinions today, but it is an educated opinion, I would say, or at least an informed opinion. So you can wear them, but I prefer very simple dark jeans. All right, I thought this was just fun to share, so we'll share it. We do this every morning at our state 4-H horse show in the showmanship classes. We do a little fashion video because the kids love it. So I thought I would share that with you. Okay. You can see other videos just want to pop up. They want us to play. All right. So if for those of you, we get a ton of really positive feedback on those videos. The kids look forward to them each year, hoping that they get to be in this year's fashion video. It's kind of just tongue in cheek and fun, but it's so fun seeing those kids and hearing about their outfits. And there's always a few each year. They're like, they made their outfit or it was a hand me down and they love just sharing that. So we have a bunch of those on our Facebook page if you want to go check them out. It's really fun to just kind of do something lighthearted, and you can see the kids really enjoy it. I make them dance and do silly things too. So some other showing fashions. You'll notice today I'm talking so much about showmanship. One, because it's my favorite day in class, so that's why. But also because I think that is the closest class to a job interview. So a lot of the rules that aren't really rules that I'll share today are really useful there. So we don't want to see a bunch of fringe and dangly things in showmanship. I think those jackets are so cool in like Western riding or trail, but fringe is not something that's appropriate in showmanship. Again, would you wear that to a job interview? No, you might not wear this to a job interview either, purple pants, but so just keeping those things in mind, what's appropriate for what you're doing. And there aren't written rules in this. I am one to be a little bit daring in fashion, as long as it's appropriate, fits well, it's clean. I think it's fun to have a little bit of fun. Some different show ring fashions here, and they change over the years. So this, back when this picture is from like 2000, so about 20 years ago, we used to always wear gloves in showmanship. Now you don't typically see gloves in showmanship, but you'll notice here that this exhibitor is doing really well is that her boots and everything match. It's a really seamless picture. It's also very easy to get boots and paint them yourself. So that's how I do it, because finding the exact color can be really difficult. So let's talk a little bit more about show ring fashions. First of all, guys, who's this good looking gal right there? That's me. Okay. So I put that picture in there for a couple reasons. First of all, the horse is adorable. And I'm looking pretty good in that picture as well. However, I am wearing a maroon hunt coat, which in many show organizations is not within the rules. So it's important whenever I want to wear this pretty hunt coat that I had made, that I need to make sure that it falls within the rules of that association. So some associations like American Quarter Horse do not consider that a conservative color. So just know that. But otherwise, everybody here is outfitted well for the hunter ring. Again, this is something that everybody can do, is they can have their back numbers on appropriately. And it causes judges so much strife, the back number thing. If you have the ability, please have your back number on both sides of your horse. Now, I know if you have an Arabian or a fine type breed, it's not always appropriate to have it on both sides, especially in like hunter. So that is fine. However, if you have a stock type horse, or if you could get a pad like this one here with the square part, it is so much easier for a judge to be able to see the back numbers when they're standing in the center of the arena. And when you have them just on your back and everybody has them on their back, you spend a lot of your time as a judge just trying to figure out people's back numbers. Additionally, let's look at this fella here in showmanship. He has his back number. Now that's a 4-digit and it's a big number, but I like where he has it placed. It's between his shoulder blades. So this is a back number. It's not a butt number. I see lots of numbers down here. Don't do that. And I actually have an article that I can link in the comments as well about where to put your back number and to make it easy. Also, be careful when laminating your numbers. So a lot of times when you're showing an association, you get to keep that back number throughout the year, which is great. And then you can make lots of copies of your numbers so that you can have them handy. However, know that you have to be careful when you laminate it. Although that makes it last a lot longer, it can make it really glary and it makes it difficult for the judge to see. Okay, so those are just some back number tips. We have these kind of pads. I don't know if anybody's ever had a hunter pad like this that come with a clear pocket. I prefer to take that clear pocket off and safety pin the number directly to the pad. I know another popular thing is magnets and magneting the number to you. Anytime that I've ever had used them or had a friend use them, the magnets slip and it ends up crooked. And so I prefer a good old safety pin. It's also a lot cheaper. Um, so these are also another way that you can have your number. For me, it's just kind of clunky and distracting. So I prefer nice and plain, white piece of paper, white piece of cardstock with thick black numbers. Let's check those questions as we go. Hi, Wyatt. Am I going to cover anything for boys? I have been along the way, so I'll keep referring to them as well. Are English outfits ever blinged up like Western? Typically, no. They should be more conservative and of a traditional style, Colette. Every once in a while, like in dressage, eventing, there might be some bling on helmets and this and that. But if you're talking about just hunter seat equitation, typically no bling. Is an animal print shirt on too distracting? Not necessarily. I think it could be styled nicely, or it could be way too much. So, um, but yeah, so you don't be afraid to try some cool stuff. Let's see. Is it good to color coordinate your outfit with your horse's saddle pad? Yes, I like that. Everything should coordinate. They don't have to be matchy-matchy. They don't have to be $1 million. Okay, some other stuff I will get to. I have a paint horse. What colors or styles of clothing would you recommend? The sky is the limit. I would not worry too much about matching your horse and the colors of the outfit. Maybe like a black horse with a brown outfit wouldn't match, but then again, I've been proven wrong. So let's watch another quick video. This is an exhibitor who did a great job keeping her horse clean.
All right, guys, we're just gonna come to you for a very brief moment, and I wanted to introduce you to Zip right here and Emma right there. So they just got a shout out from the judge Amanda Terpstra in their showmanship class, and it was funny because it was actually something that I noticed as well. Even though this is the Harry Horse Show, a judge will still really appreciate a nice, clean horse. And even though Zip still has a little bit of her winter coat, you guys did such a good job getting her clean. Did you help? Okay, good. You did pretty much all of it. Good girl. So we're going to go wander around Zip a little bit and just show you some things that they did that will set you apart, that are pretty much free in the showmanship classes. And it is part of your score. All right. So she has a nice clean halter, and the halter you could even maybe tighten it a little so it sits up higher, but it's really clean. So that's great. Zip has clearly had a bath very recently, and you did a really good job getting all her legs, her face, her ears, and it's still chilly outside. So you didn't necessarily like clip her ears right down using a tight blade, but you trimmed them. She has no whiskers. They've cleaned out her nose. Little stuff like that, guys. As a judge, that's the sort of things you notice. It's just those small details. So Zip's whole body is very clean, and we'll do more videos on how to get your horse looking like Zip is. But she's a great end product. They cleaned her hooves. They put a clear polish on them. They very obviously use baby powder or cornstarch or white spray baby powder. That's my favorite too. To just brighten up those white socks. Guys, that seems like a really silly step, but it makes a big difference. I'm a huge believer in stuff like that. Zip doesn't have a fake tail end, and she doesn't need it. But if she wanted to, she totally could too. But here's the deal, where you've spent very little, and it goes a long way, and the judges really do notice it.
Okay, hopefully that was useful for all of you. So the point is that horse was still a little bit hairy. She didn't have a fake tail end. She didn't have her mane banded, but she doesn't have a big blingy outfit on, but everything is clean, put together. You can tell that she put in a lot of effort, and that goes a very long way in the judging. And the judge even said that to her while she was showing. So attention to those details, cleaning out the ears. You don't necessarily have to clip the inside of the ears out, especially if your horse lives outside, because they can get so torn up by bugs. But you can still take a wet washcloth and clean out any of the gunk before you show. cleaning like the inside of the hocks, scrubbing off the mud on those. That sort of thing is important. Picking off the chestnuts, just those details. Okay. Show me how much you care. This does not look like a horse that's ready to go to a horse show at all. Okay. Needs a makeover. All right. So things that you clip, I think everybody should have a bridle path clip. That's a spot right behind the ears that is going to allow the halter and bridle to sit and not pull their hair or pinch them or anything like that. There's some breed differences in what that might look like. You're going to likely trim around the fetlocks or the coronet band. How much you trim is dependent on what you like, but I like at least around the coronet or the top of the hoof to not be shaggy. Now, certainly if you have a horse like a Gypsy Banner or Clydesdale, you would not by any means trim that up. You just keep it really, really clean. The ears at least trimmed on the outside, but again, it does not bother me if there's still hair on the inside. If you do trim the inside of the horse's ears and you clip those down, then you need to provide some sort of protectant like SWAT ointment or a fly mask to protect that horse from the bugs because you just removed their natural protection. I also like to take all the whiskers off the nose, but there are some associations where you can't do that. In Europe, for example, you cannot trim the whiskers. So here's a little before and after of my daughter's horse before I clipped his ears and after. So this is the finished product. But again, I have to protect this horse between horse shows or else he would get his poor little ear chewed up by bugs. Here's another horse, guys, that is also at my farm. He will not let you touch his ears. Okay. It's just not worth it for Skip. So for Skip, we do not trim his ears. This is what they look like all the time. He's been shown extremely successfully at high levels in showmanship, and it's never held him back. So just know that while there is good, better, and best, you don't have to do every single one of these. But if you pick up a couple of these tips, you'll be better prepared for the next time. Here's the muzzle before. And then after we take off those whiskers, here is his coronet band before clipping and after clipping. And again, don't forget like behind below the ergot, cleaning that stuff up. Having a nice clean horse is going to be a great first impression. Here's a video that I would recommend if you have a few minutes after this to go peruse. It's on that Facebook page again. It is the Showmanship morning routine. So what I did is I just did a fun little live video. It's about 5 minutes long, and it was at the beginning of a horse show day for my friends and I, and talked about all the different things that we do in the morning at a horse show. Additionally, how you condition your horse is important, okay? I don't want horses too thin or too chunky. Now, this horse looks like it's at an endurance race, and so that horse is gonna look more like a marathon runner, as long as it is performing well. And actually, if anybody knows anything about endurance, they know that they do a lot of veterinary checks on those horses to make sure they're healthy between rounds. But perhaps if I was showing in a showmanship class, I would want to put a little weight on that horse. That horse looks like it's a body condition score of about a 3. I would prefer something between like a 5 to a 6. Okay. Now this horse, on the other hand, doesn't look like it's been exercised enough. And it's probably not going to be able to keep up with an entire show day. That's not fair to make that horse run around the whole day in the heat, likely. So how you prepare your horse nutritionally throughout the year is also something that's considered in showmanship. So this horse is about ideal. Again, look at that great showman. It's me, guys. It's me. Several years ago. Funny thing is, if you zoom in on this picture, you'll notice that the horse is actually biting my hand in that picture. I didn't realize it when I bought the picture, and I ordered it in a large size, and it came in the mail. And all of a sudden, once the picture was blown up, I could see his teeth literally on my hand. But I kept on showing. I was not letting the judges know that I was upset by that. So that's a funny story for us. All right, guys, this is, we're going to talk about banding, braiding, and etc. So I saw some questions in the Q&A about this, and have I got the help for you? Don't you worry. There is an awesome tutorial video that I got a couple of my friends to do on that same Facebook page. It's a long one though, because braiding and banding are big topics, okay? So it's about 22 minutes long. but half of it is banding, half is braiding. But I encourage you to check that out. I'll have a link in just a second. So there's just some things like here, this is a really nicely done band job. It has white bands. If you're going to use contrasting color bands, then it needs to be perfect because every little mistake will show. I would only do that if I was super, super good at it. This horse has kind of got a crazy curly mane. So that might be something with like one of those lycra sleazies overnight might help straighten that out. But otherwise the band job looks good. This horse has a long mane. You can also band long manes, or you can do fun stuff where you have kind of like a decorative band job. You do not have to do this, but just know if you're going to do it, please make sure it's neat and clean and not too distracting. But if you'll remember a couple of slides ago, the video we saw of Zip, I think its name was, it did not have its mane banded, but she groomed it and put product so that it laid down nice and flat. You can also do bands and all sorts of fun stuff. So you can kind of have fun with this. This is also a great way to supplement your horse show expenses because a lot of people will pay good money for a good bander or braider to take care of their horse's mane. So you can offset your horse show costs that way. If your horse has a long mane for hunter, I think the best option is a running braid, and you can even keep it tighter and run that braid right along the crest. And that is a really good way to keep that mane nice and neat for English because things should look very neat and conservative in the hunt seat classes. Here are braids. These are the hunter braids that you may have seen before. They are very difficult to do. I saw a question in there. Someone was asking about, my braids always look fuzzy. And so what I would encourage for you to do is to watch the tutorial video that I'll link in just a second. And go through. My friend Megan teaches you how to braid. These are braids that Megan did actually. And she'll give you some tips and tricks on how to get those good. But basically lots and lots of practice. But you can easily get $50 to $75 for every braid job that you do at a horse show if you are good. Okay. Also, you can braid tails. So those have becoming more and more popular in the hunter ring. This one's a little loose and messy for me. I don't love the big colorful ribbon, but there are a lot of really pretty neat options that you can do there. So here is what the video looks like, guys, if you search it up. And again, I'll put this link here in the description of the video, and I encourage you to go watch it. We've had about 10,000 people watch it and lots of really positive comments that it was really helpful. So what it is it's two friends of mine that are very good at banding and braiding, and they are teaching a Michigan 4-H'er in the video how to do it. So I think that'll be helpful for you. Oops. Okay, was that the end of our slideshow? It was. Good. Let's go ahead, guys, and I will go through your questions here. I hope that this was useful. We've already eaten up almost an hour. I don't know how in the world that happened. So I'm going to go through and throw more questions in the Q&A. I'm happy to answer those for you. And then I encourage you to check out these videos. And I can actually throw them in the chat now as well. So, okay, so we had some questions that weren't specific to this stuff, but they were still good questions that I'm happy to answer. So Maya asked, when we're trotting or walking away from the judge, do we look back in showmanship? I do not think that you should look back, okay? That used to be common, and you would look back towards the horse. But for me, you need to look where you're going. And I don't want you to turn around at all and potentially trip on something. So just safety wise, just keep looking where you're going. Great question though. How do I help my horse's braids from not being frizzy? Definitely watch the video, but also there are some products that will help. First of all, braiding the horse's mane wet, I think is somewhat useful. Maybe not soaking wet, but again, this is coming from somebody who's not a braider. But there's like Quick Braid is a product that kind of makes the mane stickier, because if it's too clean, same thing with your own hair. If your own hair is too clean, it's actually really hard to do well. Lene asked a couple questions. Sure. Can you go in the pasture and practice? Sure. But you need to be careful with that because that can be a dangerous situation if there's other horses in the pasture. I'm sorry, your screen keeps going black, Beth. Hopefully you can rewatch this on YouTube. A bling tie and saddle seat. I would have to review saddle seat rules more to see what was appropriate. I definitely see it sometimes, especially in the pleasure classes. I don't know if a bling tie and saddle seat is appropriate equitation. So I'm not sure there. I have a black helmet that I use for everything. Is it okay that it's glossy? That question comes from Kelly. Yeah, it is absolutely fine. Yes, great question. So brown horse, thinking of doing purple. That sounds very cool. Okay, so Jasmine is asking about products. So what cleaning brands of products would you say work best to keep your horse white before you show? Because my horse has a lot of white. That's awesome. Happy to answer that. And actually, I can show my screen so people can see me talking. Hello. Hi, everybody. We will go ahead and answer a few more questions, but then I'll stop the live. So I just typically use like a cheap human shampoo and conditioner for my horses. Like the cheap swab stuff works really good. But when my horses have white, I like the purple shampoo. So there's several different products, Bright White, what have you. The purple shampoo is super important because it offsets the greenish yellow color that the white horse you're trying to cover up. So purple shampoo all the way for your white horses. I also then like a product like Laser Sheen or Show Sheen that kind of protects the horse from collecting dust and keeps things detangled. So I use that after a bath too, but there's probably all sorts of them. Then when it's time to show, I like using clear hoof polish. I don't love hoof black. But I like clear hoof polish. And in some breeds, you can't have color on their hooves. You can't color their legs or hoofs at all. Arabians come to mind. So I like clear. And then if my horse has white socks, I like to put baby powder on them. But that's in that show ring, the showmanship morning routine video, if you want to watch that. Let's see. So I think we have lots of options on long manes in there. Okay. I'm just looking, sorry. How important are fake tails? Not important at all. Just if you're going to wear them, make sure they're in correctly. I also have a tutorial video on that at that Facebook page of how to put one in, because I would rather you not wear one than have one put in inappropriately. I think that I've answered them all. Do you have to braid your horse's tail and mane? You definitely don't have to braid their tail, their mane. It depends what you're showing in. And if it's going to get tangled in your reins and that sort of thing. So just keep that in mind. Little hunter braids, if your horse has a short mane, does look really, really nice. But you know what you can also do that I didn't even talk about, guys? You can ask adults in your life before you go and do this. You can roach your horse's mane, which is shave it all off. I have a video tutorial on how to do that at our Facebook page, because that's what I do with my daughter's horse's mane. He had like patches of it missing, and he has a really beautiful neckline. They have to have kind of a nice neck for a roach mane to look good. I'm going to tell you a secret right now. I don't know how to band or braid. I mean, could I band? Probably. Would it look as good as my friend Michelle's bands? No. So I typically pay someone to do that. But I just roach my horse's mane and it makes life so much easier. Okay. Some people really don't like it. If a horse has a nice top line, I love a roached mane. How do I make the clear hooves look better? I clean them with sandpaper and get them all nice and clean before I put spray on them. Colette has another good question. If my horse has a very small white face marking, is it worth it to add powder? Nah, if it's really little. Actually, I don't typically do powder on the face white marking, but but some people do, and it can look really good. I don't typically mess with that. So someone is asking about mane and tail shampoo. Yeah, you can absolutely use that, but for me, I like the cheap stuff. So I like the cheap that's like $1 a bottle for the Suave. I use shampoo all over the whole body, and then I use shampoo and conditioner on the tail. Okay. But there are more expensive and specific brands that can work super, super well. But the cheap stuff has worked well for me. So someone asked about how do you use powder, baby powder on a horse. So watch the showmanship morning routine video. That's only if your horse has white socks. After they're clean and you're ready to show, you can put on, excuse me. Hey, there I am. You can put baby powder on their socks to just brighten them up and keep them clean, but you don't have to. These are all kind of tips and tricks that are above and beyond to make you have the best first impression. So none of the stuff that we talked about today was going to necessarily make your pattern better or make you a stronger rider. It's just about looking your best for that job interview. All the preparation for the job interview is in addition to this stuff, okay? But let's focus on all of those free things that we can do and we definitely have control over before we get too worried about stuff we don't have control over, all right? And one of the things that I mentioned right at the beginning was knowing that rule book and knowing how the judge is going to be evaluating you. Again, that's free stuff that helps prepare you. So I think that those are really, really important. So